Good evening.
Good evening.
We are here, and once again, it is our great pleasure to be in your reality. So another year has come around. Another year has gone. And this is life. The way you count time, you sort of give yourself an opportunity to finish up, to look at it, and to start anew. The new year is always a good time to figure out what you want in life. As our students, you understand the power of thought, the power of the mind, and the power of energy. So, as we are gathering tonight at the Dancing Moon for Moon Musings number 119, we would ask you to think about, what do you want to manifest, to attract to yourself, and to add to the adventure of your life in this year, 2016. Today is January number 7, 2016. And the moon is in Sagittarius. Sagittarius is a sign of the bigger picture, expansion of consciousness, beliefs and ideas. It also has to do with religion and sports. As you are learning, the moon changes sign every 2.5 days. And that is why you have different outlooks on things, different feelings, different understandings, because the moon, certainly, even though it is a base for extraterrestrial visitors and all manner of technologies and machineries are up there on the moon, you are deeply affected by the mere presence of the moon. And astrologically speaking, it has been tied to your emotional self. So if you want to understand how you process your emotions, then look to see where the moon is in the sky. Again, today it is in Sagittarius, so you are feeling a bit more expansive. In a few days it's going to move to Capricorn, so you are going to feel more withdrawn, more tighter borders, and you're going to have a lot less empathy and compassion. Capricorn is not a sign of empathy and compassion. It is about business. It is about structure. It is about integrity and reliability. And of course, to give you more astrological understanding, Pluto has been in the sign of Capricorn, calling on all Capricorns, Capricorn moons, Capricorn suns, and every place there is Capricorn, to undergo deep transformation without literally dying. Of course, when you decease, that is your ultimate transformation. You are no longer in the body, and it's still a big mystery to many of you where you go and what you do. But Pluto is like a death. It requires dying to the way you have been trapped in doing things, and to rebirth, regenerate, bring forward the true self. So with Pluto in Capricorn, all Capricorns have been under it and will be under it. And then you are, as a people and a planet, this month, January of 2016, you are still under the deep effects of Uranus in Aries squaring Pluto in Capricorn. What does this mean? It means that since about 2010, the systemic breakdowns that you have been seeing in your own life, the things that you thought were institutionalized forever, poof, they're gone. The government, the systems, poof, they're gone. Watch this moon in particular for announcements around the world of some major changes having to do with re-estimating what governments can do. At the same time, watch for worldwide uprising, worldwide revolution really begin in this moon of January, and that will lead to a sort of conundrum of various forces that would never really be on the same team at all, suddenly uniting in defiance over the Plutonian in Capricorn, big brother, I know it all, this is how it's going to be and that's the way it is, rules. You are looking at a very rebellious year ahead. Also today, the planet Jupiter, it is in the sign of Virgo, and it moves retrograde this evening. When Jupiter moves retrograde, as it does every year, it tends to take the party inward. All of the exuberance that you would extend outward, it turns you inward too in Virgo, and it is also going retrograde just in alignment with the North Node. The North Node is the direction that is best for all people to move into, and it is opposite the South Node where you must exit that place. South Node is in Pisces, meaning lots of people want to retreat to illusion and escapism. Yet Jupiter is going direct on the North Node, retrograde on the North Node, saying, folks, move inside, look at your own health. Could precipitate very large health crisis. It will be retrograde until about May 19, when it moves direct again about 14-15 degrees Virgo. So do not be surprised if you experience some very deep realizations, spiritually oriented, about your own health, the health of people around you, loved ones. This is a time where the flashlight, the full moon, is going internal to awake you up to your own realizations. If you are engaged in any aspect of exploring the larger pictures of existence, whether it is personal pictures, global pictures, cosmic pictures, if you are trapped in some sort of quandary and perhaps tiptoeing a bit too much in victimhood or some such, then the realizations that are needed on a soul level have not yet occurred. Use your intentions, friends, to clearly send a message to the higher self. This is part of Virgo. Virgo rules higher mind. And ask for more and more revelations to be brought to you so that you have a clarity of mind in understanding the why and the wherefore of any type of information that you want, but particularly on your own health issues or health issues of those around you. Insight can be readily had. The other day, Mercury moved retrograde in about 10 degrees Aquarius. It's going back into Capricorn, so again the Capricorns are under fire. A little confusion, go slow, don't commit to anything right now. Capricorn is all about contracts and business. Whatever you sign up for in the next few weeks may fall through the cracks. So we would avoid buying big pricey items and wait it out until end of January or even mid-February, when things will get a bit more clear. And then lastly, just to get the astrology all in place for you, you are deeply, deeply and intensely immersed all this year, 2016, in what would be the Saturn-Neptune squares. You had the first one at Thanksgiving. Again, as we've been saying to you, Saturn-Neptune in aspect, getting clear between what your karma is and what you have to change. This is a time of tremendous confusion. It's also a time of psychic activation. Neptune opens the psychic doorways, but psychic doorways can also create mental instability. Psychic doorways coming wide open in a person who is ungrounded, a person who says, oh, I throw my doors open to everyone and everything. You are inviting entity possession. So one of the explanations for all of the outrageous behavior that seems to be escalating worldwide, inexplicable nonsense that people are doing. Saturn square Neptune, a lot of people are going to lose it in this next year. Also, Saturn is authority, and it means that authorities, medias, or anyone who dictates your beliefs to you are going to create tremendous amount of illusion. So every person on the planet is going to be hard-pressed to figure out truth from fantasy, fact from fiction. And of course, this is no easy task because you are trusting. Our students have learned to be trusting but also to be skeptical. But the large majority of the world people, even though they are awakening in incredible numbers, and they will unify in defiance against a system that honestly we can say you have global leaders who truly are perverted. We underline that word, criminals. This is a global cabal of very dark energies that are here to accelerate an agenda, not only to introduce forced medical situations, mandatory vaccinations. But wait, this year is going to force things on people that, in the larger scheme of things, will create a tremendous number of angry people waking up. How do you think the kumbaya Europeans feel right now, as more and more women are getting raped by men who come from cultures who are unused to allowing the freedoms of the Western world? In the Western world, unless you are troubled by the spirits, you can walk into a local bar and order up a drink. And many of them, when they are displaced from their country and they move into a whole nother culture, and no one's looking over their shoulder, they start experimenting. So on a bigger scale, without making anyone right or wrong, you are also experiencing the clash of cultures. And this clash of cultures is being purposely agendized, we made that word up there, in order to create more turmoil in the world, to create divide and conquer. Yet, above and beyond this, even those who are fighting one another now, they may end up this year unifying in defiance against the criminal cabal once it is understood. We will say that the more you are a true believer in religion, medicine, sports, gods, fashion, whatever, the more you are subjected to having egg all over your face and being a fool. Because true believers wear blinders. And these times on the planet, from the nano years onward, that's 1987 through 2012 and onward, they are designed to stir up within humankind the need to question everything. Everything. And this is why so many billions are here. It's not easy to be alive today. And let's move to another subject that is going to affect each and every one of you very, very strongly. And that is the subject of financial turmoil. Just to give you a heads up, the mainstream media say to you, oh, the unemployment rate is low, we are in recovery. The word recovery, they've been using it for the past 7 years. Recovery, recovery, recovery. You are nowhere near in recovery. Actually, many financial analysts, those who really study the field, have come to the conclusion that when things blow, and that is speculative as to the date and time, and just to give you an aside, you came very close to a big blow in September of 2015. Now this year, you have a few windows there, June and September, both of which are times when Neptune squares Saturn. Neptune square Saturn, or any aspect, often brings financial collapse. And just these past few days, you've had decreases in the Wall Street type of situation. Wall Street is in big trouble. Big, big, big trouble. Big, you cannot even imagine. And that means Main Street is even in more trouble. The financial turmoils, when they come, some are speculating that they will be 1,000 times worse than the Lehman Bear Stearns crash of 2008. Now everyone jump the times and go back to 2008. See if you can recall it. The planet Pluto, as we've said, that brings a lot of change, transformation, destruction. It moved into the sign of Capricorn in 2008, and there began the big pruning. We said in 2008 this was a big recess, the Great Recess, and it would go on for years and years until the recess turned into something bigger. In the next year or 2 or 3, you are going to face a worldwide financial collapse. Worldwide. Last time it was USA, and some of the world was involved. Now it's global, and the US dollar is worth less and less. So apply all that you have learned and be very aware that even though this is an election year, so too was 2008. And 2008 was characterized by loss, loss, loss. Bear this in mind, dear friends. On the upside, there will be a lot of help, people helping each other out. Whenever there's dire situations, whenever there is great loss, the psychic energy bumps way up. Shock tends to make you more psychic if you do not dissociate and disappear from reality, and it makes you more creative, more innovative. And so these are some of the energies that you will be dealing with. Again, it is very important, whether it is the new year or whether you do it once a month on your full moon, new moon paper, write down what it is that you want to experience. Do not focus on how what you want is going to happen. You can waste all of your time analyzing how you think something might occur. Your job is the what. This is what I want. I am intending to have a gloriously, exceptionally wonderful year. Financially, I will be secure. Health-wise, I will go to new levels of understanding my health, transforming myself into, let's say, optimum health. I will attract to myself the right people, people of patience, people of honesty, good friends, and good adventures. And you then fill in all the details. Remember, just because the manure is going to hit the fan on a global scale, including greater escalation towards war, does not mean that you cannot be fine and navigate your way through it. Be reasonable, be realistic. Understand that to choose to be alive and to observe the world today is to help understand why the globe and its people are in the conundrums that you are participating in. All right, we know that you have questions. Some of you have traveled a ways to see us, and we are quite pleased to have an evening with you here at the famous Dancing Moon in Raleigh, North Carolina. So we invite you now to participate on a lively level with questions, and we will open with that. Who would like to begin 2016 with the best question they can come up with?
Please, this is David.
David, we knew that you are going to be the one, and we will say so did a few others here too. Go ahead, David.
I have a question regarding Iran and Saudi Arabia, which your vehicle was talking about earlier.
Just to give background now, Saudi, Sunnis, Iran, also known as Persia, Shiites. Go for it.
Okay. It seems to me, just as an observation, that the U.S. is in some kind of cahoots with Iran. It looks like on the surface. I know the other day some Iranian boats shot missiles or projectiles near U.S. ships in international waters. It seems like, I can't get my finger on it, but I had a conversation last year with some Iranians that lived in the Los Angeles area, and I asked them, I said, do you think there's some kind of secret agreement with the U.S. and Iran? And they said, yeah, they thought so. It was just their observation as well. It looks to me that the situation is being set up over there for those two to get into it, and this is just kind of my feeling is the chief benefactor of that is Israel, and Israel's awful quiet right now in terms of that situation. So do you have any insight as to that? Because obviously that's their backyard, and they hate Iran, and they were very much against the nuclear agreement the West made with Iran. And is this a way of Israel getting back at Iran using the Sunnis? So I'll leave it at that. That's a lot to ask.
Yes, it is. And it is, first of all, you are describing a political boiling pot. We'll see if we can dissect it a bit for you and let you know what's gone into that pot. First of all, the USA is not a reliable friend. Over the last number of decades, the U.S. political system has been infiltrated by non-humans. That's a way of saying it. Some appear to be under deep mind control, some appear to be possessed, some even appear to be clones or arty intel, and some even appear to be in the disguise as humans and potential extraterrestrial visitors. That ought to perk everyone's ears up. Now, that means that the Constitution, the land of the free, home of the brave, and the integrity around which things were sort of being followed, follow the Constitution as best you can, etc. It all went out the window basically since Eisenhower. And the U.S. is not a friend a reliable friend to anyone in the world. The administrations are all separated. You have an Oval Office that is run by, let's see, some hot dogs. You have a Pentagon that is run by old stabilizing boulders, and they are at odds with one another. The United States government is filled with blackmail. This is why no one who is elected seems to be able to carry out what their original promises were. You are looking at a cesspool of betrayal, of criminality, and again, perversion, capitalized, underlined. Now, that said, forces within the U.S. One hand does not know what the other hand is doing. Congress is out of it completely, except for a few older members. And they make promises to one, they make promises to another. Everything is compartmentalized, and it's all coming down because there's no integrity backing it. No one is good on their word. You've heard over the last year that U.S. has been accused of spying on your allies, Germany, Israel, etc., etc. So on that level, yes. Does it appear that the Saudis, who have not stopped pumping oil, and of course they're making everyone angry, and they are running out of money. Russia is in a very bad position because they're switching what is important to them because oil is not working for them. Oil, what did it go down to? Under $30 a barrel? Or in that vicinity?
It's close.
This is very not good for all parties involved. So those things are going on. Absolutely. And to add to that, the Chinese economy is coming to a grinding halt. You've heard our vehicle give her rendition of having visited China. There are, a dozen, 2 dozen almost cities with 20 million people? Guess how many people are in North Carolina?
10 million.
Oh, there's a gold star there. Who said it? 10 million.
David.
10 million in North Carolina. 1/2 of the city of Beijing. Can you picture it? No, you cannot. Beijing is between 22 and 24 million. All of North Carolina is 10 million. Imagine if the USA had 15 or 20 cities that were all 20 to 25 million. So suddenly China is coming to a screeching halt. Autos, steel, glass, buildings, everything, you name it. And China has been driving things. So everyone around the world is concerned about this financial situation, which is then going to lead to aggression. And aggression is obviously the default position that your world tends to move into when you start discovering things or when you have economic turmoil. Think, dear folks, 1929. That's where you are once again. Perhaps moved up a bit and closer. The gap between in 1929 and 1939 was 10 years between what would be economic collapse and war. Coming around the corner is going to be, as we said, economic collapse that no one wants to talk about. And then, of course, the solution often is to get the machines going again through war. So, yes, the Iranian situation, the Saudi situation, Sunni Shiite opposition is being leveraged to fulfill prophecies. As our vehicle said to you, the ancient prophecies speak of Persia or Iran as leading factor in creating the Armageddon or end days war. And Persia has just been given the go on nuclear weapons. And again, nuclear weapons You are finding evidence for major nuclear wars, not only on Earth, but allegedly in the cosmos, Mars in particular as a close neighbor. So it's going to be quite a year. Now, David, let us ask you a question. What is the cover of The Economist saying this year? Did you get it?
Haven't gotten it yet.
All right. But last year it was quite a doozy, and there was all kinds of comments all over the world. Many people speculated on what the globalists are going to do. But understand this, that the globalists, they may have meetings, but then they betray one another. They say, hello, how are you? So good to see you. And then they are all dark energies. They don't trust one another. They make deals because they are forced to make deals. So you are on some level dealing with a mass psychosis on the planet that could go on and accelerate for quite a number of years. This is why we have suggested 2013 through and including 2027 are called the changeover years, when things are completely reorganized around the planet and things that must be finished and gotten rid of have to be dealt with. Who else has a question, an insight?
Pease, this is Corey.
Corey, welcome.
Thank you. Several years back, there was a lot of concern about the sun heating up and that this was the true source of global warming. And you were mentioning all the turmoil that you're expecting this year. Is the sun still heating up the solar system, and is that contributing to this turmoil, or is that no longer a factor?
Oh, we would say that the sun goes through incredible cycles and that are much larger than your particular lifetimes. As you well know, in exploring planetary history, you've had tropical ages, you've had ice ages, and as far as you know, none of this is attributed to your own automobiles creating the pollution. So things happen. Right now, there's a report that there's a methane gas leak in an area outside of Los Angeles. And the amount of methane, which is cannot be seen, is being shot out of the ground, out from deep, deep wells. And they are saying that every day, the amount of this methane gas that they cannot cap off is giving off as much pollution as 7 million automobiles. So different factors contribute to planetary and climatic changes. But certainly there are things happening on the sun that are affecting the entire solar system, and they will for perhaps even a few hundred more years. What else, Corey?
No, that's it for now, thanks.
All right. Did you get those books that we suggested?
Yes, I got all three.
Good. And you will find that you will enhance your own understanding in terms of sorting through what's true and what's not true. Read it, and then use your intuition. And you say, how do I feel about this? Does this feel true? But it is very important to do research today, to make yourself as knowledgeable as possible, so that you make this a worthwhile life, to worthwhile living. Or who else has a question, a comment, insight?
This is Roger.
Roger, welcome.
Thanks. Do the elite have...
Louder, please.
Do the elite have a central control like the head of the snake, or is it like a den of snakes? In other words, is there some individual...
Planetary elite you're talking about?
Yes.
We would say that when the planetary elite look to their top, it's not one person. It has always been a committee. And that committee then has in secret worked interdimensionally with what you would call other forces. In general, these other forces are going to be branches of the Anunnaki family, because it is the Anus right now who are under the greatest systemic threat to losing or having all of their colonies go into great, what is it called? Rebellion or mutiny. That is the word we like to use, mutiny, because it is a word that the Anunnakis dread, mutiny. What else?
So it seems then that the answer to this is really the individual humans raising themselves up, rather than there being some central individual way to knock the, to win the other guys out. In other words, I'm looking for what's the answer to this that we can get humans back into balance.
Well, back into balance, those are very important words, because one of the highlights that you are experiencing now, and it will really blow up in 2016, is the word imbalance. Imbalance. And we believe that the planet Jupiter will stay in Virgo until the autumn season. And then sometime late summer, early autumn season, Jupiter, which makes everything bigger, and yes, it brings good things, but it can just blow everything up. It will move into Libra. When Jupiter moves into Libra, Libra is the sign of balance, yes, scales, and you are, as a world, completely off balance. So by the autumn season, before your U.S. elections, it will become readily apparent around the world how off balance the USA is. And Libra is the sign of open enemies. So by the autumn season, it does not look well. There will be, as we talked about, people, various groups unifying in defiance against the system, but where's the head of the system? That will be the problem. Because everyone's going to become very suspicious of their corrupted leaders, as if those leaders were really the ones causing the problem. Here's part of the problem. There's more and more talk about building sports stadiums. And so what if they cost $1 billion or $2 billion? And these sports stadiums are going to be Wi-Fi'd and smartphoned to the max. And that you can sit in your seat and push buttons and have filet mignon delivered to you. And there will be lounges and more places for people to hang out and watch sports teams, many of whose members are banging their heads around, hurting one another. As a people, if this is the priority, a sports stadium, in a time when it is being speculated that glyphosate, you know what glyphosate is?
Roundup?
Exactly. It's in Roundup. And Roundup, of course, is a modified version of Agent Orange, the exfoliant that was used in Vietnam. So glyphosate, they are finding now that there are DNA markers. Wherever this glyphosate is used, it is sprayed most particularly on wheat and corn, of course, which is in everything. And the projection by some is that in less than 10 years, in the USA, 1 out of 2 children will have autism, because it is glyphosate that is in the DNA markers of those with Alzheimer's and autism. And certainly vaccinations are a contributor to this. And so you talk sports stadiums, more distraction. So this is the big issue on the planet. the distractions that people will invest in order not to deal with very painful situations. This month, the planet Mars, which is how you go after things, is in the sign of Scorpio. So there's a lot of strength to look at some very deep things. Mars will make a trine, or that is a friendly aspect, to Neptune. What does that mean? It means that there is a potential for a lot of people all over the world to look at some very, very hard truths about sex, and that means every aspect of sex, finance, and death. You watch, these subjects are going to be liberating as people start to realize that sports stadiums are not the answer. Who has a question?
Please, this is Lisa.
Speak up again.
This is Lisa.
Lisa, welcome. Speak
you.
clearly, please.
Okay. Just a question.
Slowly and clearly, please.
Oh, thank you. Okay. So those of us who on the planet who are working for change and expanded consciousness and understanding what the truth is, like this group, but those like us, how are we doing? Are there enough of us? Are we working hard enough? How can we improve? How are we doing? How did we do through 2012? I mean, did you expect more of us? How are we doing?
Lisa, why are you asking so many questions? How about
it's the same, isn't it? Yeah.
2012 and how are we doing? Let's get focused.
Okay.
First of all, it's not hard work that wins this. As soon as you start saying, am I working hard enough? You are applying the same misconception that is used for the war on cancer, the war on terrorism, the war on drugs. Wars don't win anything. It is a form of mind control. So when you say, are we working hard enough, you are implying that only hard work is going to make a difference. We would say, how are you doing? How about looking in your own life? That's the only place you can look. Is your life functioning? Are things working out for you? Are you having success? Do you feel safe? Is your health good? Are you comfortable? Do you have a flow of income coming in? Are you responsible for your actions, for your thoughts? Are you grounded and present in the moment? And is your larger picture of reality expanding? So it's not about how are we doing, are we working hard enough, it is about individuals. Certainly more and more people are awakening. And that is the destiny of all humankind. Yet those of you who have been on this for a decade or more, 2 decades, 3 decades, we are going on 3 here on your planet, ideally, all of your investments, all the things you have learned, are stabilizing you and paying off. And then, as an individual, each of you broadcasts out your own success. So, if you want to know how the planet is doing in terms of awakening, then each of you that has awakened, look at your own life. It's a nasty process to wake up and to realize that you have been kidding yourself, that you are under immense illusions. The propaganda is going to reach new heights, new levels of absurdity. Someone that is a psychopath has no remorse, no emotionality, and no conscience that would then leave them feeling discombobulated because they told lies. And psychopaths are the criminal element that's running the world. And of course, as Roger said, how do we deal with these people? How do we find them? You don't. And you raise your own vibration. And the better you do in your own life, then you realize that's how the world is doing. Does that give you some clarity, Lisa?
Yes.
Good. And take care of your own life. If your life is good, then you can say that is what you are contributing to the larger world. A way of finding peace in a world full of turmoil. And is the world going to settle down? Friends, that's wishful thinking. You are probably, just in all practical terms, you are going to be in turmoil for another 10 years, at least. We do not see the dust settling until about 2028. There are so many things on the list that people have to wake up to realize, wow, I never thought about that, and that.
Okay.
And this is going to be important for everyone. How do you lower your stress rate? And of course, if you turn on the news and you think about all the madness that is going on, it can simply raise your blood pressure. And you know, it has been said that high blood pressure is the silent killer. It goes up and up and up, and people don't know it's up, and then they're making themselves nutty. So, first of all, a few times a day, rest your eyes, all of you, on something serene. Whether it is a vase of flowers, a nice look out the window, watching the sun rise, the sun set, watching the birds jump around, watching the snowflakes come down. You want to have what is called a soft focus. Soft focus could even be allowing yourself to rest your head in your hands and daydream a bit. This allows a bit of de-stressing. It rests the brain and allows things to slow down, and this is so important. If the news or newspapers are too intense, then put them down for a while. Smell some lavender. Lavender, in terms of essential oil, can be de-stressing. So can the lemon smells, the vanilla smells. Go for a walk. Get rid of all the electronics and just go out someplace where you can be with yourself in nature. This is very, very important because the stress levels are going to rise tremendously. And many of you who are in this field of expansion of consciousness, you tend to think you have to save the world. It's sort of a soul obligation and duty. You will affect the world, and this is, of course, what we want you to do, but you will only affect the world by taking charge of your own life and living as an outstanding example. And that's enough to keep you busy for the rest of your lives. Understand that you will have good days and not so good days, but you will revert back to good days. Understand that existence, if you choose to believe, has a way of working things out. Understand also that loss is often opportunity on the other side. So if things get pruned and eliminated from your life, be with it. Understand this winter seasons that occur in one's life, and that spring does occur, and that new beginnings are blossomed. This is important for all people. But we will say, the Aries, the Libras, the Capricorns, and the Cancers, they are undergoing big, big changes. So write down what you want and be very clear. Who else has question, comment, insight?
This is Christopher.
Christopher, welcome.
Thank you. Further to what you've just described, can you give us a peek preview of after that 10 years? And I'm thinking particularly after Atlantis, for example, humanity went through massive changes.
You're saying after Atlantis?
After Atlantis, a sort of forgetfulness, I think, set in.
It would be called dissociation or trauma instilled dissociation, and dissociation is also a type of amnesia. So one could say that after the Atlantean debacle, that there was many things that came, let's say, blows and sweep-ups that came over many thousands of years. So it's not just the demise that occurred perhaps 13,000 years ago. But when there are large traumas that occur, there tends to be an amnesic tendency stored in the DNA to help the form of consciousness move forward. Dissociation or amnesia can be quite beneficial if a group of people or souls experience massive trauma that went on for a long time, and it seems so devastating. The only way through it is often to have it all tucked away and forgotten. And these would be considered to be memory time capsules that would be stored holographically in the multiverse, just in the ethers, and they would be particularly stored in DNA capacity of all life forms, because all life forms have on Earth in your library have DNA, and DNA carries codes and memories of the story of ancestors for animals and people, and even viruses, bacteria, for all things. So what will happen in 10 years, Christopher is saying? As you have learned, Christopher, and ideally the others in the room are well aware, that to make a prophecy and to say, all right, it looks as if this is occurring, as we said in about 2007, 2008, we said you are reaching maximum population and you're starting in decline. And it wavered there for a while, but yet you are bit now, population increase. So just because we or someone else says it looks like this is going to happen does not always mean it will occur. Now, you are going to get into population decline eventually. And 2007, 2008 certainly was a window. Now, what will happen in 10 years? Speculation again. The globalists, the elites, those who are corrupt, criminal cabals at the top, they are not humans with hearts, and they do not have Jiminy on their shoulder whispering to them, hey, you better think about what you're doing. They are possessed, and so they have no remorse, and they have no second thoughts. Some of them could even be what we call RT Intel. Again, RT Intel is designed to have no emotionality, no remorse, no second thoughts, to just get an agenda done. So there's strong possibility that there will be a large decrease in population. Now, we say this acknowledging that we did say 8 years ago, 10 years ago, that there would be a population decrease, and boom, boom, more people are coming in to a very dire situation, because all the people born now are subjecting themselves to, as you well know, in the last number of years, high levels of radiation, toxicity, Wi-Fi, and all the other things that are damaging the human biosphere. It certainly looks as if in 10 years the hidden rulers will come out from behind the curtain, and in the next 10 years the various discoveries that are being made, such as the one our vehicle mentioned to you about the 5-meter, or translate to 17-foot human skeleton that was found in the last year or two at the Ayers Rock, Australia site, also known as Uluru. These, of course, are not exceptions. They are finding more of these large skeletons all the time, although the word is hush. Not only large skeletons, but other very strange things are being uncovered. So much is there that after a while, with the internet and all manner of communication, the cat's out of the bag, to use an expression, meaning that the true history of the past, that you have been subjected to sharing the planet with visiting extraterrestrials who seeded you and who left a race of giants here to manage you, is going to flower into all manner of controversy, and the controversies may be irrefutable when some of these giants appear in the living flesh. Certainly in the next 10 years, there will be recognition on all levels about your cosmic connections. But yet we see extreme stress on the population, and it's becoming harder and harder for more people to literally work on that root chakra level and survive. If you are good at managing energy, then give gratitude. It is gratitude that gives you more energy to keep going. When you are argumentative, when you do not share appreciation for where the source of energies comes from, then you are cutting yourself off. What else, Christopher?
Well, I'm curious about something that was said before we began. So if I may bring that subject up, because
Yes, of course.
I'm not aware of the idea of 33 rotations or spinning 33 times, and I was wondering if you could give me some insights for that. I don't know what that's about.
Spinning is something that we talked about perhaps 20 years ago, if not more. It's rather old news. But nonetheless, spinning is a way that can balance the hemispheres of the brain. When one hemisphere is overly predominant and another one is quiet, in other words, too logical or too intuitive, spinning tends to put everything in balance. And you would spin from left to right. Our vehicle has demonstrated it for years. It's again sort of old news to her. It's not on the top of her preferred agenda list, though it does work. It tends to balance the chakras, balance the hemispheres, and you can spin 12 times, 24 times, 36 times. Don't get all crazed about techniques and numbers. The whirling dervishes and many people understood that twirling and spinning can create a vortex of energy. And if you think back to when you were children, one of the things that children love is to play on the rides that go round and round, or to have an auntie or uncle or mom or dad or grandparents pick them up and twirl them round and around and around. Remember that? Mm-hmm. Yes. Why do children like that? Because they not only do they find it fun to go in circles, but it leaves them exhilarated. It sort of boosts the functioning of the endocrine system and puts everything in alignment. Anything else, Christopher?
I do have one more thing. Sorry. What became of those who were killed in Japan in the Second World War by nuclear detonation?
What became of them?
Yes.
For many of them, depending upon where they were, those who went out instantly or very quickly with the nuclear detonation, when you have something of that nature, it is a sort of a searing on the soul, and it is a death that has been common in the cosmos, because again we have said it is on your world. It is the Anunnaki who brought nuclear energy to Earth. Nuclear energy is used throughout the cosmos. Just like fire is not, let's say, localized to Earth, water is not localized to Earth, nuclear energy is a stage of development to smash the atom and to create force of energy. And of course, they did not know what occurred to them. And whenever people go out in a nuclear conflagration, there are special, let's say, guards, guardians, advisors who come to help those through the trauma. Because it is so sudden and basically people vaporize, it is a quick death on one level, but it takes a long time to process because it seems to come out of nowhere. Do you understand?
Yes.
And sometimes a person dies quickly and they go over and they're met by loved ones and someone explains to them, they look back, it's almost as if you can rewind your death experience, play it out again and again, especially a traumatic death. Airplane crashes, things of that nature, where numbers of people go together. Nuclear conflagrations can, I'm looking for the right words here, can make the soul shy and skittish and scare it off because it appeared there was no control. It happened so quickly. Do you follow?
Yes.
That's a bit of insight there, but understand that when you do pass over, there's always assistance of some sort, depending upon the beliefs that you take with you. So the beliefs that you take with you are going to attract that kind of guidance on the other side. So that, say, for example, you are a practitioner of Islam, and you've taken on a bit of a fanatical stance, and you decide to be a suicide bomber. And you take this on and you strap these detonations to you and you go out somewhere and you blow yourself up in the name of jihad and religion. This is a belief. Now remember, this is a belief. And this belief is predicated that if you dedicate yourself to this, you will go to some sort of glory. That predominant belief would then be carried over with you when you decease yourself, and then those beings or guides that would support that belief may be the ones that the soul would most be inclined to find comfort from or turn to. Someone who blew themselves up with a suicide type of situation are not going to be open in general to a death experience that says, guess what, you wasted your life. That's not what it's all about. We are not denigrating Islam or anyone's belief system. We are simply using that as a more radical example to say, whatever belief system you have, it sort of transfers with you. And even though you may be shown a bigger picture and be met by larger forces, many people choose to ignore this, just as many people choose today to go to sports stadiums. So, as we've said many times, you take many things with you. And the advances that you make in the body are what are propelled and open the doorways on the other side. Who else has a question?
Hi, my name is Jocelyn.
Jacqueline, welcome.
Thank you.
What can we assist you with?
Has anybody in this room ever been to your planet?
We do not have a planet. What else would you like to know?
The battle that the media has created with law enforcement recently,
Yes?
will that come to an end soon?
No. It will not come to an end because it is part of a divide and conquer issue that people must learn to sort through. And the only way that many of these conundrums will be navigated is for people to become more of themselves. And that usually involves being more psychic, knowing things that you are not trained to know when you are in educational systems. And so as people become more self-referring, getting intuition from inside, and as people are willing to see corruption and to demand goodness, that is when things will end. But there's so much propaganda, so much that is not true, and so much psychological warfare today. And of course, it's the mainstream media that is promoting this. If you were to go to another part of the world, Joaquin, read different newspapers, you would find that the news about the USA is far more informative and expansive, even in the UK, versus what you would get in the USA. Today, the USA is like living in 1984. Today, living in the USA is so propagandized that you have still fears over the Soviet Union and communism and what they do, but you are living under it greater in the USA because the people in the USA cannot figure out what's true and what's not true. And so they debate issues that are ridiculous. You are going to be in this for a while. Pluto is going to be in Capricorn until about 2024, 2025. So there will be systemic clashes and breakdowns until you get that shift, which looks like it starts to move about 2025, 2026. Anything else, Joaquin?
No.
All right. Who else has a question?
Please, this is Lisa.
Yes, Lisa.
Okay, I just have a
Slow,
question.
slow, 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 slow.
All right, about astrology.
Yes.
Okay, so in our solar system, so for us, we look at where the planets are, where Jupiter is the planet of expansion, Saturn is the planet of authority. So other planets in our solar system, what does Earth represent in their astrology? What is Earth representative of? Venus is love and beauty. What is Earth?
It's quite simple. Earth is the living library.
Oh.
Earth is, let's say, a source of love, heart, conflict, and life.
I think that's it.
Or who else has a question?
Peace, this is David again.
Yes, David.
Hillary's looking awful good these days. Is that the real Hillary? Is that Artie Intel? Is that a stand-in? I guess she seems to have more lives than a cat, so I'll throw that out to you.
It's very interesting. After her husband finished his terms in around 2000 or some such, she was running for U.S. Senate out of New York State. She moved there and then set it up. And someone ran an article on her, and they had about 30 photos of her, because she was, at that time, 2000, all over New York State. She was doing her talking tour. And they ran these photos, perhaps there were 20. And the speculation was, in 2000, the many faces of Hillary How could she look so different? And be in each city she visited, and be so many places, and look so completely different. When then, after she got into the Senate, she settled into one hairstyle, sloppy. She's not known for grooming, as you well know. The higher-ups, especially those who are working at the high blackmail level, were rewarded with doubles, with RT Intel, with cloned versions. She even said recently a few things about herself. I'm not a witch, she said. She said, I don't have horns. I'm actually human, she said. Why would one make those exclamations about themselves? She is a highly suspicious character, and she has many, many, many problems. She has skeletons in her closet that would go from around the Earth's circumference. This is a person who has very, very mixed intentions, and it would not serve the world well at all for her to be given an official position of prominence. You'd all best wake up very quickly in regards to what's going on in your country.
So would Trump be better?
Oh, would Trump be better? What a question. On a larger picture, you have no choices. You understand this.
Yeah.
You understand you have no choices. And there's a lot of artifice going on. In other words, things aren't what they appear to be. There's hidden agendas, hidden agreements. As we look into the future, the USA is not in a good position. Let's just say Donald Trump would do what he says he's going to do, and he is who he says he is. Let's just pretend that. Say he gets elected, and I will make America great again. I will do this and this and this. Donald Trump is, he is a delegator. You do. Don't bother me until it's done. I don't want to hear any problems. Not the way to really run the United States. A company, perhaps. Is Trump going to be better? Here's the advantage with Trump. He is a Gemini, and Hillary is a Scorpio. Remember that. And we believe she is a Scorpio, so there's a lot of secrecy and underhandedness in Scorpio signs. There's also a lot of resilience and strength and high integrity with Scorpio. You decide which one Hillary is playing out. She also has, we believe, a Pisces moon. Remember, Pisces is artistic, it's very compassionate, but it is also the sign of self-undoing. Pisces, moon, ascendant, sun, or any cluster of planets, when Pisces is predominant in a person's chart, the person ends up screwing themselves. They mess it up for themselves. That is the nature of it. It's part of the game. We are seeing that if you go for Hillary, and there's no guarantee she's going to get the nomination, because between then and now, a lot of stuff could happen. And so they're already dancing other marionettes in the background in case she gets indicted for high crimes and misdemeanors. What do you think the Clinton Foundation is collecting money for? To help everyone feel healthy, or to get big blackmail? You decide. Trump, we do not see him pulling it off. We see that someone's going to eliminate him if he keeps going the way he's going. Why? For a few things. He says, well, vaccinations, we'll have to look at that. 9/11, an inside job. Well, we'll have to look at that. And then the real golden ring. How can you look at Hillary as a president? Her husband hangs out with pedophiles. Her husband has done things just as Bill Cosby has done. Vaccinations, 9/11, Bill Clinton being a pedophile, all out of Trump. What do you think, folks?
Dangerous ground.
Very dangerous ground. Now, what does this mean in summation? It means that things are going to heat up big time this year, and your challenges grow greater on a soul level, which is why you've come to the planet to get really clear. And we will say that out of thousands of lifetimes, you have the opportunity to make massive advancements in this one because of the conundrums and the challenges that you face. And nothing at this point is predictable. Everything is going to be sudden changes and a lot of confusion this year. Watch for it. Back to our opening statements. Set your goals. Use the power of your mind. The power is growing greater. Remove yourself from too much electronic addiction. It's fine to look now and again, but there's so much psychological warfare that if you think you are going to surf the internet to figure things out, you won't. If you have to read things, print them out, and then turn all the electronics off, and then either light a fire or buy yourself one of those fake fireplaces, light a candle, make a cup of tea, have a glass of wine, invite some friends over, and have some real experiences, cook some food, discuss articles, and slow down. Lisa, you have that?
Yes.
Because as a Cancer Capricorn, you need to slow down, especially with the way you think. You are thinking too fast and you'll miss things. When you go slower, you start to figure things out. Remember the tortoise and the hare. That is a good motto for this year. All right, so we bid you the very best, and you can achieve it in 2016. Remember, wise choices are the theme this year. Pleasant journeys and good evening.
Good evening.